welcome to another episode of Blue Screen Brothers, where we dive into Defender for Cloud. I'm Marius, and together with me I have Olav and Niclas. Say hello.
Hello.
So we have had one episode where we have talked very high level about the different features and stuff, and we figured we could dive a bit deeper. So where do we start?
So where do we start? I think we start on the overview page here, as you can see. So this page, it is basically an interactive dashboard. And you have these 4 tiles here, as you can see: security posture, regulatory compliance, workload protections, and inventory, as well as some news out here. And in the top, you can see how many subscriptions you're currently viewing data for. This is in general for the whole Defender for Cloud. So if you want to change that, you will have to click on this subscription here, and you can select different filters. So your security score that you see here, it will change depending on how many subscriptions you see and how they of course are.
And you can even access subscriptions in other tenants through Azure Lighthouse. That is really cool.
Yes,
but I'm quite sure that this will also be an MMC snap-in you can add to your local PC, right? No MMC snap-in?
Not sure.
No, not so.
No.
Sorry.
What?
You're living in the old world, Olav.
But I love the MMC snap-in. So.
Yeah, if I guess if the Defender for Cloud team they're watching, then take a note.
Yeah. So. But this is of course you go into the portal and go into the Defender for Cloud to get into this portal. If you haven't started it yet, it's right in the Azure portal and Defender for Cloud. So
yes, you basically just search for it here, Defender for Cloud, and you get in here.
Yeah, perfect.
So
yes.
Just to sort of start here, who can access this? What level of access do I need to see these kinds of, or this kind of information on, for example, a single subscription? Let's say I have an organization, we have 400 subscriptions. I have I manage one of them. Is it owner access, or can I see this with like simple reader access, or
no? I mean, you need the so in general you have access. You can see your the permissions that you have on your subscription or on your resources. Those are the things you can see here. If you go to one of your landing zones or subscriptions, you will also have a tab out here saying Defender for Cloud or security.
Exactly.
And if you click there, you will see the recommendations for your subscription that are linked to Defender for Cloud. And
exactly. So I don't actually have to go find Defender for Cloud and navigate that way. I can also navigate from the other side. I can going from the resources or going from my subscription and see recommendations directly there, but it's powered by the same engine, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And it will take you into the recommendations here, I think. Or with a filter, so you only see your subscription and your resources. So that's a good shortcut. So you don't necessarily have to go in here and view everything. Also, again, you will, depending on your filter, depending on your permissions, you will have limited information here. So you don't necessarily have to compare to what your colleague can see in here, because the numbers might differ depending on your filters and your permissions.
Yeah, and the lowest permission you can have is either reader or security reader, and then you will only see the alerts and recommendations. If you're a security admin, you will have more. If you're a contributor owner, you will see more, and so on. So yeah, so
I actually think that if you're a reader, you might be able, all these roles here, they will actually see more or less the same, but it's more the you could say the contributing part, the configuration part of Defender for Cloud. That if you, for example, are I don't know how much you should deep dive into that, but if you are the security admin, then you can change your regulatory compliance standards.
You can see everything as a reader, but you cannot respond. You need to be a security admin to respond on some of them.
Exactly.
Contributor have and the possibility to respond and enable the disable the plans, dismiss alerts, but he cannot edit security policies and stuff like that. Then you need to be an owner or a security admin.
Yeah, that's correct.
Also,
great.
Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, again, what we can see here, so security posture, right? That is basically your bread and butter here in Defender for Cloud. It is the secure score that we are very interested in, and people in general are very interested in. Here you have a high level overview, so you can easily see, do I have any overdue recommendation? This is if you use the new Defender CSPM, then you can assign owners to recommendations. So for example, if I'm working with Kubernetes, then all the Kubernetes recommendation can be assigned to me. And then we can set a due date. So let's say 7 days from now, I need to have remediated all the recommendations so they're secure. And if I don't, we get it's overdue basically.
Yeah.
Furthermore,
and you can also see
that
you have 17 unassigned ones that you should assign to Olav.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just to Olav. Yeah.
Exactly. Then I can go on holidays.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, again, this is a high level. We will come into this later on in this session. Just to go briefly in, then you have the regulatory compliance scores here. As you know, you have the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark. This was formerly known as the Azure Security Benchmark. It changed name fairly recently and went into GA, and this is the baseline for your recommendation and your secure score. Furthermore, you can then add a lot of these industry compliance regulatory standards, as you can see here. For example, CIS, NIST, HIPAA, and so forth. But that, of course, is it's something that you should probably not start off with if you're completely green with this. This is the most important one is the Cloud Security Benchmark. It takes the best from CIS and from NIST and Microsoft's own framework. So it combines it into a very good overview and framework. So I would recommend starting with that before jumping into having extras on it.
Exactly. And for example, HIPAA is for health, right? So it might be irrelevant to many organizations.
Yeah, especially here in Europe.
The best thing is actually find the one that you have the highest score on, so you can show your manager.
Obviously, this is HIPAA, as you can see.
Exactly. Yeah, the thing is, a lot of these are actually also manual controls. So they are depending that you go in actually and say like, okay, I am compliant with this.
I have actually done this. Yeah.
So they don't automatically show anything. So that's why I believe HIPAA and NIST they are ones with a lot of manual controls, and they will show sort of compliant if you don't do anything. Whereas the MCAT or the MCSB it's done via policy, right? So that is automatic, and it will give you like your real state, or current state of your environment. What else do we have? Yeah, we have the workload protection, and we actually touched upon it last time, right? With all these Defender plans that we talked about, Defender for Key Vault, Defender for servers, and you name it. So this is again, you can see I'm pretty well covered here for the things I have, but it also shows your alerts should you have any for one of these plans. Again, it's a very nice overview.
And this would show things like if you had many storage accounts but no Defender for storage, or a lot of Key Vaults and no Defender for Key Vault, those would light up here, right?
Well, the percentages will be lower, right? But you can
exactly.
Then you can I'll just do it quickly just to show it, and then we will go back. But if you click here, you will actually get what you're talking about. You can see your cloud Defender for Cloud coverage, as you can see here. So that is pretty good. Just jumping back here, loading it again. And then we have
bird's eye here, and then a bit more details if you click on it.
Exactly, and the last one is then the inventory, and that is also definitely a great way to see how many resources do we have, how many are healthy, unhealthy, are they not applicable? That could be if you have exempted resources, for example, and then you also can see how many VMs do you have monitored right now. So that could be with the new AMA, so the Azure Monitor Agent, or it could be with the Log Analytics Agent, the old deprecated one. Good.
Awesome.
But and then as I mentioned, you have some news out here that it's always nice to you don't have to follow all the blogs necessarily. You can click here and it will open the news sites for you.
Yeah, of course it has been quite a lot of news lately, right, with Microsoft Build and everything. So
definitely.
I think one of my favorite news was actually for Key Vault, because they got a new alert for unusual access to the Key Vault from a suspicious IP.
Yes.
So that was a really nice one. So to discover when somebody are using your Key Vault that shouldn't be using them. So I love some of the new features announced at Build and in the What's New section in the Defender for Cloud documentation.
Definitely. Yeah. It's really nice that Microsoft, they keep developing on these things. Also listening to client feedback and giving us what we want.
Yeah, because it changed all the time, right? The threat, the factors changes, so they need to update to match what's the newest type of threats all the time. So
Definitely, yeah. Very true. So how do we get started? I don't know if we should just briefly run into this, but as you can see here, you will, if you have not used it before, you can get a 30-day trial, which is very good to get familiar with Defender for Cloud. But as we mentioned last time, be aware, right, because it is addictive.
And also I think I remember that I have seen a workbook for getting started with Defender for Cloud in Azure, so you can actually plan it a bit planned instead of just enabling it. So the workbook for getting started with Defender for the Cloud should be a nice way to start.
I think
and many Microsoft partners actually also have an option to hold something called Build Intent workshops, which is actually funded by Microsoft, where it depends on like the customer size and everything. But at least my company is holding quite a few of those workshops where we, together with the customer, we enable the free trial, we analyze what kind of threats appear and or are detected, and all the different features in sort of a workshop fashion, and we can choose to turn it off after the 30-day trial. But it's called Build Intent workshops from different Microsoft partners. So it could be that you are eligible for such a workshop. So it could be an idea to talk to some partners for that.
Definitely. Yeah. Where do we go from here? Getting started. So here, right here you can also, it's also where you begin your integration journey if you have on-prem resources, workloads.
Exactly,
because
if you have only Azure, then it's really nothing to do here, right?
No.
This is just you just enable and everything works, and it's agentless and everything.
Exactly. You can if you want to have everything installed, you can pretty much select your subscriptions. They will be here, and then you can enable the agents.
And that's for virtual machines. And,
exactly. And you have a little note down here, if I can mark it without marking the whole page. Again, you don't necessarily need to do this. It is only if you want to install, have the Log Analytics Agent or the AMA, installed on your VMs. So it's
but this is also on the Get Started page, is where you configure if you want to add Google Cloud Platform or AWS as well.
Yeah, definitely. But let's jump on to recommendations, because as we mentioned, this was or it is the whole backbone, you could say, of Defender for Cloud. This is really where you get the bang for the buck, right? The secure score here, the active recommendations, and the new feature that we haven't really talked much about it, but the attack path that was also fairly recently in GA. And that is it's pretty cool for security teams.
For now you actually don't have to go into Sentinel to see the attack paths, right? So you will get it from your daily work MMC snap-in instead.
Yeah, exactly. And also actually they just released a how-to guide on how to get notification for this using workflow automation and logic apps. So it's pretty cool. They are really starting to automate, because how it was previously and how it is now, if you don't use this, right, you don't get a notification if you have an attack path. It's more like, okay, wow, now I see it. But if I don't check this for 1 week, I might have hundreds, right? Hopefully not, but you get the point that you want to be notified as soon as you have something that can be exploited.
And if you, let's say you had 20 attack paths and you have looked into them and there's one additional, it's difficult to sort of, or have been difficult to determine which is the new one or whatever, right? Because when you get notifications of, well, here's something changed in your environment and now we found a new attack path here that you need to look into, then that helps a lot.
Definitely.
It's the same thing in identity, right? This doesn't cover that, but there's plenty of ways. We have separate podcasts on that, but of essentially opening paths to become global administrator in Azure AD, for example, by doing funny configuration or configurations in Azure AD. And same thing there, being able to see that now there's suddenly a new path to global admin that I need to be aware of is also very useful in the same fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Or you have the production data that could be leaked, or things like that. So, but really the whole recommendation here, right? It is about identifying potential security misconfigurations and weaknesses. So yeah, it is a great tool. Here, this is of course only the secure score recommendations. You can also click here to get all the recommendations. This will cover your different initiatives as well. So for example, here I have the NIST, as you can see, the CIS and so forth. So they will basically show everything, all of my regulatory compliance standards that I have activated. But I think for now we should just focus on the secure score recommendations. They are where we recommend people to work in general and to keep your secure score as high as possible. Also because the higher the score, the lower the identified risk level. So always, I mean, if you have 0 here, then you're probably not in a very good state. You should start looking at this and work your way up. And also another very cool thing, especially if you're reporting to your management, it is to use the governance report here. You can start to view your secure score over time. So you have a starting point. Mine here could be let's just say 82, and then next week it might be 85, and the week after it might be 90. So you can gradually track your progress over time, and that is really cool. But it could also be that you have deployed a ton of new workloads, and they are not compliant, and you will see it drop.
Yeah, and also what's behind the secure score will change. So one Monday when you're getting to work, you suddenly have lost 5 points, and that's because they have added something new in the mix of the math of secure score. So it's not, you are not more unsecure than you was on Friday, but on Monday they will actually have added something new. So you might have dropped score. So you need to keep an eye on the secure score and figure out why you have lost points, because maybe you have gotten a new point in manage access and permission. Suddenly they have added something new in there.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this. As you can see out in this inside column, you have like different icons. And as you can see here, if you have this bookmark sort of icon, then it is a preview recommendation. And this recommendation will not affect your secure score until it is general available. And then you have a lightning here, and it's a quick fix. So it's basically you can click it and it will remediate. It will use a deploy if not exist policy to remediate. And then you have, you can also make it as a deny policy so people cannot create new configuration with, It will be
but that's something you should be aware of is that the quick fix might cost money. So if you add, for instance, on the storage account, you should pay for each storage account. So it will increase the amount. So I will never press it in here. I would go in and read to see what it actually will do to figure out if it will cost money or if I even need it, because it's not all the fixes you want, especially if they cost money. So
no, definitely agree. I mean, don't just click fix. I mean, in general, don't click on things that you're not aware like what they do. I mean, because this will implement stuff in your environment.
And that's what one of the reason I actually like that this is policy driven. So I create a rule. So when you are creating new sets of storage account, they will automatically be added with the security on, and then the cost will be included from the start instead of being added later. So that's one of the nice thing, that if you start to enable it, you don't necessarily fix all the old stuff at once because it will explode in cost in some cases. But make sure that if somebody else create a new VM, for instance, they will always have the Defender enabled and ready to use. So that will be a starting point for the cost, not an increase later.
I completely
agree.
Agree.
Exactly. And all of that can, of course, be, as you said, just done in policy with deploy if not exist. And that means that your developers or whoever is responsible for creating the resources in the different Azure landing zones really doesn't necessarily need to care about let's say security monitoring, because that is automatically configured to log to Sentinel, for example. It's just it just works and just automatically configures it.
Another thing I just want to highlight is your current score here. So that, of course, is affecting your overall secure score. As you can see here, I have none of these policies under my enable encryption at rest, and that gives me 0 in my score. But I have a potential increase of 4, right? Because the max score is 4 here. And for a score to be updated, I actually need all of my. It's not enough that I just, as you can see here, here's 3 of 5 virtual machines. It's not enough that it is 60%. It needs to be 100% for me to actually get the percentage or the points that I need. And you have I would say, fairly complex algorithm. You can find it in the documentation on how Microsoft actually calculating this. But it's not something you need to be too much aware of. I mean, look at the recommendations here. Maybe you want to fix the ones that are giving you the highest potential increase. I mean, here, for example, I'm almost compliant, as you can see, so it doesn't really make sense for me to start working on this. I might have a bigger fish to fry here by working on this one, for example. So just wanted to point that out.
So at least when it comes to sort of the overall score, but it could be that this 1% for you as an organization might be more important than the encryption at rest part, right? So I wouldn't go blind on sort of prioritizing on the potential score increase just to get as high a score as possible. I would really
use the severity, for instance, and at the filtering you have severity none, so you can set severity high or.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We can, of course, also work in this way and ensure that that is also something we see with various clients, that you work your way with the severity high and make sure that all these are at least completed before you work your way down to medium and low.
Exactly, because here you actually have yeah, container registry images should have vulnerability findings resolved, for example, and I find these more important than sort of trying to
Increase the
prioritize,
scoring.
enabling customer managed keys on storage accounts and whatnot, which is, well, important, but not this important as these things.
No, it's completely right. It is what your did, like the risk tolerance of your organization. What are you focusing on? So of course, but in general, always prioritize the high severity ones before low ones.
Yeah.
That I completely agree. What else have we not mentioned here? I think we just to make it clear again, this is driven by the Microsoft Cloud Security Benchmark, all the recommendations here that you see, which you find under the regulatory compliance tab or pane, and you can configure there. All this is policy driven. You have two types of policies. You have the normal policy that that you can write yourself, that will look at sort of a management plane, and then you also have Microsoft own policies that are working on a data plane, which are working with some special engine in the back, and that's why you will, if you go in, I'll just take a random one here, see if we can hit it correctly. No, there was a bad example, but anyway, you will sometimes see that if you open the policy definition itself, it will refer to an assessment key and nothing else, whether or not that assessment key will be healthy or unhealthy, and that's simply because Microsoft have some logic in the back running that.
Okay. Yeah.
For the data plane. So that's little high level, that's how it works. All right, should we move on, or do we have any more questions?
Should we check the attack path
yes,
that you have available here?
Yes, I think so. This is pretty cool. As we mentioned, it's a new feature. It does require, also as it says here, it does require that you have the Defender CSPM plan enabled for your subscriptions to view this. But nevertheless, if you have that, it gives you great value, and that's the same for the Cloud Security Explorer. But yeah, here we can see a summary. Total attack path. I have one, thankfully. Not anymore than one. Then we have our affected resources and any active recommendations that we can use to fix this. If you simply just click on it, Internet Exposed VM has high severity vulnerabilities, then we will get this nice page here. And here you have all sort of information that you need to, not need, but you can if you want to, and we of course recommend that you do, but you have the possibility to read all this and get an idea of how could an attacker, malicious person, exploit this.
So for example, what we see here now is that we have a VM with a public IP address, and I guess that VM has some kind of vulnerability. So here you can click on the virtual machine, I think.
Yeah.
We should then be able to see some more information. Can we actually see which is the vulnerability
sometimes
here now?
Sometimes you can. I'm not really sure why it's not showing here.
It's missing the recommendation, so I guess the information is not for a fix. It's not there yet. So
no. So it will show you usually your CVE here, for example, like the CVE number. So you have an idea, okay, what vulnerability are we actually talking about, right?
Exactly.
And again here you can normally, again, this is a demo environment, so that's why it's not it's not showing too much info, but I think the important thing is that you can see the resource types here, and you can follow sort of the attack path. So an attacker can exploit this public IP via the network interface and on the VM. And then
I think it's just because it's not behind a firewall at all. It doesn't seem to go through any firewalls. So that's the reason why they don't have any recommendation. But it should say something like you need to hide this behind the firewall. So.
Yeah, exactly, because it doesn't really, I mean, here again, this is not the best example, right? Because it says go to the recommendation tab, and if we go here, it's empty. So
So not the best of demos, but whatever.
No, not the best. But it gives people an idea of if you have something here, if you have something in your attack path analysis, then please do investigate and please make it your utmost priority to remediate that, because it is a great tool and it is showing a way for an attacker to potentially exploit your resources. Whether it is taking over a VM, leaking data from a storage account, or so forth. So please, if you have Defender for CSPM enabled, then use it and take action if you have something here.
Yeah. But use a trial if you haven't enabled it, so you can actually test it out. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Security alerts. Well, I don't have anything here. Again, it's a demo environment. You might see security alerts. They are generated by our cloud, the Defender for Cloud workload. So all the protection plans that we mentioned earlier, Defender for Key Vault, for example. So if you have something popping up that as you mentioned, Olav, that somebody is using a Key Vault and they shouldn't be, for example, then you will get an alert here.
That's where I discovered that they had implemented the new rule, because it was suddenly popping up in my security alerts. So a nice thing to be aware of here is the status that you can see. Take a look at the closed one as well. If it's no alert found, you should check if you have some closed, because you should have something here at least. I don't think I've seen a production environment without anything in the security alerts. So
no,
but at some time it's smart to take a look at the closed, just to see what the system have closed itself, to see patterns.
I mean, so alerts are displayed for 90 days in here. It's also just to mention that they're not staying here forever. You also have the possibility to create suppression rules. I don't know if we should dive too much into that, but it is basically that you want to avoid your false positives. So if you have something that you know is unwanted security alerts as well. So you can suppress alerts for a given period of time.
And you can create sample alerts if you want something to play with. So,
yes, exactly. We can show that. So here, for example, for all the Defender for Cloud plans, you can simply select which one you want, and you can create a sample alert, and you will get a ton of emails and a ton of alerts in here.
Yes,
so that's a good way to, if you're curious about how it works and how it looks like.
Yeah, especially if you're setting this up in a closed trial tenant, so you can test the trial out. It's important to get something in there just to have something to play with. So
and I also want to highlight this. This is pretty cool. I have seen that you might have issues if you have a huge environment with a lot of alerts or data. But this is pretty good. As I said, it's probably a little bit small for you guys. But this map presents security alerts that contain IP addresses targeting your resources. So here you will actually get IPs from the attackers, right? So
so you can see where
China,
they are coming
India,
from.
Like these countries that we at least in the West, or Russia, for example, that we see attacks from.
I love this type of overview, because we have developers that might connect in a way that make them look like attackers. But if I take a look at the map, it's easier to see that they are actually local people trying to do something. So that's it's not something you can trust on, but it's easier to see that what you are suspicious.
It's everything about context, right? The more information you can get about something, the better.
Yeah,
exactly. I completely agree.
But you have always the annoying developer that using VPN gateways. So
NordVPN coming off from South Korea or something.
Yeah. So
well, they need to watch the new Netflix episode that are not available in in the Nordics.
Yeah.
No, but moving on to I don't know how good we are on time, but hopefully we can just briefly touch upon at least inventory and Cloud Security Explorer. So the inventory, this is very cool as well. It is an asset inventory, not to you can call it sort of. I wouldn't call it a CMDB, but it's something almost similar, at least for your cloud resources here. You also get your if you have integrated to your on-prem resources or your Amazon Web Services or GCP resources, you get them as well in here.
Yeah.
And you get so it's pretty cool. You get your state. How well are we protected? Have we installed the monetary agent? How do we look like with the recommendations and so forth?
Yeah, so this is sort of flipping the coin, right? So instead of looking at the recommendations to see how many resources we have non-compliant or compliant for that, this is where you check your resources, how many recommendations exist for that resource.
Yeah, and if you have something that you need to make take an extra bit care of, it's easier to go in here and search for it. And if you see it here, and you can see the recommendation, and if you have followed the recommendations, so instead of using the Azure portal to find the resource and then go into security recommendation, it's actually easier to go in here on inventory and search for that part in here. So
yeah. Definitely, and if you're using Defender for Endpoint or Defender for Servers, you might also have a software inventory here. So it's pretty cool. So you can actually see what is installed on your VMs. So it gives you a really good insight. Furthermore, you can click here to get the resource health of a VM. Can see all the recommendations here, the status of them. Over here you have basically just like high-level information, location, status, OS, etc. Any alerts if we had that, and then again installed applications as I mentioned.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So it is a pretty cool feature, especially for admins.
Nice.
Yes, and then I would say last but not least, we have the Security Explorer. It is heavily connected, I would say, to attack path analysis. Again, requires Defender for CSPM to be enabled. You have down here, you can use the query templates. I usually recommend that you use them because they are pretty thorough. They cover like most use cases. But you're also able to build
and
your
you can
own
use them for inspiration, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
This is a super easy one, right? It's looking at your virtual machines and if somebody or some of them are exposed to the internet. Let's just search here and see if that was the case. And it is, as we know. So you can click here and you will get more information.
I would actually, in there, I would have a feature request. I would actually like to build that query and be able to export it so I can run it from a script. Because you will see nice things in there and you will try to run them in a script. And then in a lot of other Azure locations, you can actually copy the script that are being created to do that search. But it's still missing here.
And if you go back to templates, one of the things that I think is really cool there, just try out the, let's see if I can find it. It's called something with storage accounts.
Right.
Let's actually just take anyone really that has to do with the storage accounts.
With the storage account, all right. I will see if we can find something with the storage account. See if we.
So just the one I opened on my that I found really cool was the one called.
I think you must.
Log for shell vulnerability that has permissions to storage account.
Yeah,
just
that's a nice one.
It's a good demo of what you can actually do. That it's really powerful. So if you go back to template and find one called VMs with log4 shell vulnerability that has permissions to storage account.
Yeah. See if I have it here. Doesn't. Yeah, there we go. This one.
Yeah. So here you can actually see that first you filter on the Azure virtual machines that has vulnerabilities, a few, and then 2 of them. So that's one option to filter. And then you can actually see that that can authenticate as a managed identity that has permissions to storage accounts. So it's you can really understand just by understanding English what this actually looks for. Because not everyone are KQL experts, right, in writing those kinds of queries. So this is a really powerful way where administrators that doesn't necessarily know all the details about querying logs and querying resource graph and all those kinds of things really works.
I completely agree. It is very powerful. Again, you can also search here. So it's they made it really intuitive and very nice. So if you don't want to use virtual machines, you can just search for something else, right? It could be Kubernetes. You have like different things here, and it's really easy to build once you get a little bit familiar with that. And you can, as Marius says, you can do really complex things here.
Yeah, cool. Should we call it a wrap for now and go into workbooks in a new shorter episode maybe, so we can play around with the workbooks?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think we have it for today then, and see you on the next episode with workbooks.
See you all.
Yo.
Bye bye.
Bye.